Hello everyone, this is our dear from Advanced Mechanics and welcome to another episode of Know Your Car. So in this week's episode, I'm going to be talking about a special component found on modern petrol engines that supplies enough electricity needed for the spark plug to generate the spark. So without any waste of time, let's get into the video. So the component I'm going to be talking about is a type of ignition coil called the coil on plug ignition coil. This type of ignition coil is found on modern petrol engines. It is directly mounted on top of the spark plug and it converts low direct current voltage from the battery to high direct current voltage needed for the spark plug to generate the spark. On old petrol engines, this type of ignition coil was used to generate the high voltage. This high voltage was then sent to the distributor via a high gauge wire. The distributor then mechanically distributes this high voltage to each individual spark plug according to the firing order. In modern petrol engines, this type of ignition system is no longer used. Instead of the spark being mechanically distributed by the distributor, the coil on plug ignition coil electronically delivers this high voltage to the spark plugs, allowing a much faster delivery of this high voltage to the spark plugs and eliminating the spark plug wires. The coil on plug ignition coil receives signals from the ECU or electronic control unit of your car to fire at the precise moment needed for ignition by creating a high voltage spark to ignite the air-fuel mixture inside the combustion chamber. The coil on plug ignition systems allows a more precise timing and a cleaner installation than other distributor-based ignition systems. The coil on plug ignition coil is made up of a casing that can be made of plastic or epoxy, a connector that allows the coil to receive signals from the ECU, a disc, a primary and secondary coil that converts low voltage from the battery to high voltage needed for the spark plug to generate the spark, and the spark plug socket where the spark plug connects to the ignition coil. A coil on plug ignition coil can be connected to the ECU by 2, 3, or 4 wires depending on the design of the ignition coil. The number of these types of ignition coils depend on how many cylinders your engine have. So if your engine has 4 cylinders, the number of coil on plug ignition coils will be 4. And if your engine has 6 cylinders, the number of coil on plug ignition coils will be 6. Now you know how the coil on plug ignition coils work. What are some of the problems that can characterize a failing ignition coil? Since these coils deliver the high voltage that is needed to generate the spark, a failed or failing coil on plug ignition coil will cause your engine to misfire. Your engine may have a rough idle, you may experience poor acceleration, an engine check light may illuminate on your dashboard, and overall you may experience reduced engine performance.